Thank you very much. Now move on to our second question, which I'll direct to you first, John, and then we'll move down and back to Vangie. So the second question is about immigration. So that is obviously a hot button issue right now, both with the dreamers. So the question is, what do you think, in general, is the contours or the shape of a common sense immigration policy, and what will you do in Congress to bring that policy into being?
Well, not only are we a country of immigrants, I am a family of immigrants. My wife is a naturalized American citizen who was born in Germany, and both of our sons have dual citizenship. Our older son works for Adidas in Germany. When you are a country that has a mechanism or process for people to come in and work, it benefits your country. Now, I am absolutely 100% with Donald Trump in terms of having a border. I don't think you should be able to stream over the southern border or the northern border. I don't believe in the wall, but I think it makes sense to control who comes and how they come. But you can't be punitive. You know, a lot of the people against the dockers are just bigots. They're not really against immigration. They're against those immigrants. So we need to have a process to bring in farm laborers legally. We need to have a process to bring in professionals legally. We also want to have a reciprocal agreement so our people can go overseas and work as well. As far as the DACA goes, I think that we have to stand up and give these people a path to citizenship. They are, for all intents and purposes, Americans. And if we probably went back in our own family trees, we'll find out that maybe our grandparents or maybe our great-grandparents weren't legal immigrants either. So we need to figure out a way to do it. We need to be human about it, not punitive, and make it work, because we benefit, our economy benefits, and we're a better country.
Thanks.
First and foremost, we have to not let Republicans control the message. I don't wake up at any point in time in my day scared of an immigrant, not once. I don't walk out my front door scared of an immigrant. I'm not scared of an immigrant today. What I'm more scared of is someone like Donald Trump and his friends destroying my retirement before I even have a chance to really build it at 40 years old. I'm more scared of Wall Street bankers collapsing the market and not allowing me to retire or take away my savings, and I'm not scared of immigration or anyone who came over this country, whether it be through the totally legal means or not. Because ultimately, as the chairman of a school board with 90,000 students and 11,000 employees, I need to make sure that children know and their parents know that if they say that they lay their head and they reside within a school district, that they're allowed to go to school there. I have to deal with this on a daily basis. I have to talk with families and children to make sure they understand that people are putting together plans. They're putting together plans to say, if my kids go to school and they come home and ICE has taken me, here's the plan that they're leaving with their church or someone else to make sure they know their children are taken care of. This is the country that we're living in today, and we have to stop it. You know, I have the luxury of being endorsed by Tom Perriello, former congressman, obviously from Virginia. And we have talked about this a lot. We both have Italian backgrounds. I know I look super Italian, right? My grandparents came over in the late 1800s. They came through Ellis Island. And what's funny about immigrants then as immigrants today is first-generation immigrants born in the United States, the first generation born here, speak English 90% of the time as their primary language. That is the same as it was my grandparents. My grandmother, the first generation born here, spoke English as her primary language and spoke enough Italian to communicate with her parents. And anybody, whether it be El Salvador or German or anyone else today, the same rate still applies. Congress needs to sit down to answer your question directly about what would I do, is I'd sit down and listen to immigrants today on what the process is they have to go through to make sure that we can make sure there's a non-racist, fair path to citizenship, because the American dream needs to be alive and well. Thank you.
So Congress could have addressed this issue as early as 2001 with the DREAM Act, and again in 2013 with the same DREAM Act, and now again in 2018, but they're not going to. I'm afraid that whatever deal that the Senate has is dead on arrival on the House because of a small group of Freedom Caucus members that have essentially veto power over anything because of House rules. And that's something that we will change by electing more Democrats. And I think once we get Democrats into the House, we'll be able to push the DREAM Act through. I think the only job creation program that Donald Trump has, and Rob Whitman has supported as well, is by hiring more ICE agents and by trying to hire construction workers to build a wall on the southern border. That's really the only plan he's got. Again, they could have addressed this issue all year, but they wasted the last 4, 5, 6 months trying to push a tax bill through. when they could have done something to address the healthcare issue and to address the Dreamers. I think that if their only crime is being brought here as a child, not through their own will, and they've spent their lives here as Americans providing to the economy and providing something good for our country, I think that they should be welcome. To stay. And I'm going to stand up and fight for that too. I think that Congress made the wrong choice by not pushing for a deal now. And I think that we need to continue to make that stand. But I will support the DREAM Act that's there now. And every Democrat, and I think every American, supports stronger borders. So like Ryan said, we need to seize the message back on that. Everybody supports that. We do want law and order in the country as well. But we also need to have compassion and have empathy for some people who are here living as Americans and who unfortunately may not have the papers that they need, but that's through no fault of their own. Thank you.
I love this question. Yesterday, I can tell you I had a really very honest conversation with a respiratory therapist who just saw her brother-in-law deported. He had been here since he was 3 years old. He didn't know about the DACA applications. He didn't know. But he's always been a good kid. Never got in trouble, went to college. He's back in El Salvador. He barely speaks Spanish. That's a scary situation. When I am elected, and hopefully I will be, I'm not going to make promises. I'm going to take action. I learned something from my grandmother a long time ago, who was raised in Westmoreland County. Her great-great-great-grandfather was an Indian from India, and he came here on a business mission. And luckily, he was good friends with some really powerful politicians at the time. And they helped him become an American. And that blood runs through my veins. I know my ancestors came to this country unwillfully. And they had to fight for their citizenship after the Emancipation Proclamation. Yes, I'm going to fight for the Dreamers. But it's going to take bipartisanship action. And I won't flip-flop. No, and I agree that we should not have opened the government back up for this, and I'm a contractor who took a hit on it. It was the wrong thing to do, but the right thing to do is to not stop fighting. They deserve citizenship. If they've paid taxes, if they've done right, if they are productive in our society, they deserve to be here. We can't stop now, and we won't stop. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.